Good night to everyone again, and I must apologize for the late start. So, bully prevention is everyone's business. So collectively, let us don't just stand by. We must stand up, stand strong, and stand together. As we seek to rid our school and by extension the wider community of this social ill. Welcome to the IWPS Primary School Parents' Night, featuring a panel discussion geared towards discussing the issue of bullying. Please allow me to acknowledge and extend hearty welcome to our school's education officer, Mrs. Chanella Joseph Nisbet, and all other well-wishers. We are indeed very happy to have you here with us. To our parents, you are our honored guests. So we warmly welcome you. The IWPS Primary School is committed to providing a supportive, caring, and safe environment in which all stakeholders, children and adults, are free from the fear of being bullied. As a school, we take bullying seriously. Therefore, no form of bullying is tolerated. In fact, the IWPS Primary School's expectations for outstanding positive behaviors are very high and has since implemented school-wide positive behavior management strategies to guide students' behaviors, one of which is our STARS, where we strive to be safe, tolerant, accountable, respectful, and successful. However, bullying, like the demon it is, still manages to raise its ugly head in our school from time to time. But we will not be daunted. Each time this happens, we see it as a teachable moment, prompting us to set aside special times like these to take stock, to reflect, and to generate creative ways to deal with this issue. One of such ways is tonight's panel discussion. In fact, we want to make sure that our week of activities is not just another pop-up hot air balloon moment, but one that brings awareness and gives us opportunity to revisit and edit our plans, if necessary, and actively fight bullying through preventative measures. The panel discussion on anti-bullying is primarily for parents and any other adult stakeholders. It is our quest to garner the support of the entire community in bully prevention and intervention programs at our school. We are aware that not all parents are fully equipped to identify bullying behaviors, bullying trigger points, bullying warning signs, trigger signs of unresolved anger issues, and their effects on the victims, the school, and the community at large. We strongly feel that once parents are ably adept to handle the issue of bullying, they would be able to resolve such like issue ahead of time, before a child has engaged in bullying behaviors. Simply put, we need all hands as we stand together against bullying. Thank you. So at this time, I would hesitate no further. I would like to take this moment to introduce our esteemed panelists and our moderator for tonight's event. I will first like to call to stage Mr. Aldine Claxton. Give him a round of applause. Next, Mr. Terence Fleming. Corporal Randolph Diamond. And Mr. Delbert Clark. Give them a rousing round of applause, please. Now, let me ask you to make one guess. What is unique about tonight's panel?
Pure men.
All males. Aren't we lucky? Give ourselves another round of applause. At this time, I would like to invite our moderator for tonight's event, who will take us further along. This is no other in the person of Mr. Marvin Woodis, also known as DJ WOODIS.
Yeah, just want to say special good evening to each and every one. Good night. I'm very disappointed with the turnout tonight, because if Grandmasters was up here, Small Axe was up here, wine and drinking and walking up and bending over was up here with a what? Up here with a full to capacity. We might have to call the Charleston police station too, because the neighbors might have called and said, "Lad, they're not go home tonight." But anyway, without any further ado, I want you all to put your hands together for all the men up here. Because they say that men are lacking in the community, men are lacking in the homes, but we have a wide cross section of panelists here that are all what? Good. Real men too. Understand me? Especially my good friend Delvon, as a married man, as a footballer, as a community man, a father. You hear that? You hear the ladies them say, excellent what? Godfather. Because I like how we touched the point, Godfather. Because a lot of people like to say, oh, they should try Godfather and this and that and that and that. But a lot of people don't understand the roles of godparents. They just go to church, put on nice clothes and take pictures and say, yeah. But do you know, as a godparent, where the parents fall short, it's your job to fulfill. So let's say if the parents die, you could go to court and get custody of that child. Let's say the father got in jail and the money need to support the child financially. The mother goes summons you to him. Then after that we have Mr. Diamond. Understand me? We know him as the dancing policeman, but when he comes to his job, he's very serious. And then after that we have, you say name because you got an expensive name, We know him as Janty. But I'm glad they have someone like him because he has been through it all. Been to prison, come out, and we can all look at him and say he's properly rehabilitated. What kind of big word there, boy? Rehabilitated, and we don't see much success stories like him, because what happens in the system, once you get caught in the system keeps grabbing you and grabbing you and grabbing you. You can't even get a job, because if you fill out an application form and they ask you, have you ever been to prison? If you lie and they find out the file, they don't even ask like, why you been to prison, how many times, and try to help you. So I think you should give him a round of applause. And then we have at the far end, the esteemed gentleman from Brown Hill. Everybody know him, Sandy Son, nice boy, always polite and always pleasant. So we have a well-rounded set of panelists here, and I know they could talk from now till next week, and I got to talk, But anyway, moving on. So it's all about the Ivor Walters Bullying Week. And bullying is a very, 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 very touchy topic. And when I say touchy, very, very touchy, because some people don't want to say that their child is the one to make trouble. Oh, not my daughter, not my son. Everybody's child or daughter is the perfect one. In your house, where you have control. But when they come to school and they're in environments like this, where they see other people, where they can be peer pressured into doing the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the teacher has to call you and say, oh, your son up here, make a lot of mischief. Not my son. And then next thing you go into the principal's office, and your child in their ball, and you want to know, why your child a ball? Then I make sure the child ain't accustomed to be like that. Because what? He's being what? Peer pressured into doing all kind of good, the bad, and the ugly. So on the first topics we want to talk about tonight, and the panelists could They could jump in any which way the mic is there. When you hear the word bullying, how do you define that in your own which way? You don't have to be proper, you don't have to be perfect, because all of us are here, we have a wide cross section of people here, upper class, lower class, middle class. So I don't want you to be perfect and dot all your I's and cross all your T's. I want you to be real. And that's the only way we could be in this lifetime. You got to be real. Let people like you for who you be. A lot of people will fake, put on makeup and weave and clothes and shoes, and we hide behind that image. Ladies, don't vex with me, eh? We got to be real with ourselves, real with our peers, real with everything we do. Let people say, bye, one thing about him, he can tell you how we go. So tonight, panelists, I want you all to be real. So when you hear bullying, how do you define that? How would you say what is bullying if you have to put it in your own words?
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be here with you this evening, and the topic is very pertinent, especially in these times. For me, bullying is repetitive, aggressive behavior towards other people coming from one source. That's a simple definition, I put it that way. Good evening all, thanks for having me. When I hear the word bullying, I think about verbal and physical abuse, emotional abuse, and as Mr. Clark, in addition to what Mr. Clark said. Well, Whitney, good night everyone, once again. First, I'm not a bully. I defend people who get bullied. You understand? At me time coming up. So, how I understand bullying is like someone who want to control you, like force you to do things. You know, make you do things that you ain't want to do. So that's how I see it, and it's not a good way.
Good night, everyone. As Mr. Clark said, it's a pleasure being here, my alma mater. To me, I think my definition will sort of encapsulate everything that they've said. And to me, bullying is any form of verbal, physical, or psychological act of intimidation that's sort of imposed on someone who's viewed as less than or weaker by someone who feels that they are superior to them.
I think I answered the question properly. Good. And I'm glad everybody agree with what Mr. Delvon is saying. That bullying is just a simple thing, like somebody just interfering with you, like it's mental too, because somebody coming to school every day just interfering with you, takes a toll on top of you. And one day you just start acting out at home, start acting out at school, and they want to know why you start acting out. Sometimes the children are afraid to talk, because when they talk and they tell the teacher, they get quote unquote banned as an informer, or they get banned, or you talk too much, you have to talk. But you're talking for what? Your own rights. Sometimes even talking for your own rights come with repercussions as well. So I'm glad how the panelists answered that question. Moving on. Anybody here and the panelists have come in close contact with being bullied? Be real. It doesn't have to actually be when you're small. Sometimes they happen when you're big, and sometimes bullying happening even on your job. Somebody pressure you to do things that you don't want to do.
Yes, I'm from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I came in 2009. And when I came here, I went straight to police training school. And after training, I worked in St. Kitts for a week, and then I came to Nevis. When I came to Nevis, I was walking to Charleston, dealing with a report. Someone came up to me and was like, "Oh, you're not finding your bag water coming?"
come here, go back where you come from, go back where you come from, you can't lock me up, you can't do this. But thankfully for me, when we were in training school, the instructors, they insulted us, they told us the worst of the things you could tell a human being. And I never understood why. But at the end of the training, they said to us, when we go into the real world of policing, we're going to get it worse than that. So they were preparing us for what is to come. So I was prepared for it mentally. I still hear it up to this. I've been here 14 years and I still get it. You don't want to come here, where you come from. But like I said, I'm mentally prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't get much bullying from people, but I remember when I was growing up, he had this guy, you know, we call him Kingston Cotton. Everywhere the guys then go, I try to follow as a younger one, and he started beating me up all the time, go back home, and the guy, leave the man alone, you know. So one day I set myself, and it's like, I decide by this man can't bully me again, and it's like, when he come, honestly, I the most blows next year again. And what I'm saying, like, I'm going to give you a story, because we're speaking about bullying, even up to my uncle at time. He just used to beat me for nothing. Everywhere I go, he bang me. Anything missing in the house, he beat me. It's like I was the black sheep, and it's like, he had this dance place that used to call pub back over Fort side, and we went that night. Before I reach home, the man will meet me and call me up and start giving some backs and stuff, and I decide, you have some friends who used to come from St. Martin every Christmas, and some girls and some, they say, by now, they're going to take them blues, go on these girls, and even my uncle, he get some blues from me, and from those two bullying again, I never get bullied again from nobody until tonight, never ever get no bully. So I don't get much bully from people right now. I save people from getting bullied.
Just so you record, violence is not the answer.
I think most of you know me, and you're hearing me right now, and my voice was one of those things that I was bullied for. I don't sound like any of these guys sitting next to me, right? I was bullied. I was always told that I sound like a girl, act like a girl, and all that sort of stuff, right? And I sing like a girl, so. But I believe that some resilience was instilled in me, I guess, from my home life, and especially from the people who I looked up to at school, so some of my teachers. They instilled some resilience in me to help me sort of combat those sort of messages that I was getting about who I was and who I wasn't. So, yeah.
I'm not going to go into anything personal, but what I would say from experience as a probation officer is that there are stages in this thing. So you might be in school, primary school, and you might be labeled as a bully. And if that behavior isn't corrected immediately, what happens is that you learn the process and it becomes a part of you, and you just gradually, you get worse and worse. So I went from being a teacher to probation officer, right? And the same students who were bullies in class were the students who were on probation. And you know what it leads to after that. If you don't correct the behavior, you're going to end up in jail. So this is just to say that bullying is very serious. You might just start as a little, hey, you don't look good, or your hair picky, or, you know, but it could lead to more detrimental things in the future.
You're going good so far? Yes, excellent. Alright, I want to throw a little curveball in it, because they give me a whole list of things to ask them, but I want to ask them something. Come on for me. How do I feel about spirituality and bullying? Because for me, a lot of these people who we label quote unquote as bullies, if you check their spiritual background, they don't have any. So how I feel about spiritual background and bullying, like lining them up together, and then if you teach a child or someone about spirituality, could it help with their bullying?
I'd say yes, it could help, but as my mother always used to tell me, I bring on your mind, I bring on your mind. We can teach them as much as we can. We can teach them the right way. But as you said, when they get to school, you can go to I went to church. I was never a dancing fella. I used to go to church. Mother brought me up well, but now I party. So I say that to say, even though they go to church and they're spiritual, at some point they will branch off and meet up with friends and peers, and that is where they tend to fall off.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really get much to say about this because, as Nubai Diamond says, like, you could teach your children as much as at home, and then when they go out, not in school, they go out play, and then they go a kind of mentality and attitude differently from home, you understand? But when they reach back home, it's a different story. They start cool and react like nothing going on home, but outside, they react and they act up and they go on. So, they ain't much to say about that.
You know, I suspected you wouldn't come with this, So, because we were outside and we were just talking. But, you're asking whether or not there's a connection between spirituality and bullying, and whether or not spirituality could prevent or reduce bullying. Well, I guess, the urge to bully, right? For me, I think charity begins at home, right? And you learn things as you said, outside at church, but you also learn things in the home and at school. And so children themselves are impressionable. They are, their brains are like sponges. They absorb things and they observe things. And so sometimes it's the things that they see at home, in their community, on social media now, that they take and they bring to school and they perpetuate that. They act that out on the other people around them, the people who they see as weaker than them. So sometimes it's the stimuli, the messages, the things that they're seeing within their environment that influence the way that they treat other people.
That sound good so far? Yeah, they hit the nail on the head. Alright. For me, I think, and this is just my personal opinion, when we were small, and I'm talking for everybody, where we learned the good, the bad, and the ugly from was being around our peers. Understand me? So someone will come from where they come from. So you might come from a good home, but somebody come from a broken home and they're impressionable on you because maybe they're very outspoken. So you like to be around them. Kind of something new, you're like a sponge. So you see them start to do certain things and you start doing it as well too. So sometimes we got to find out who our children, quote unquote, friends are. And what are their friends' background. And to me, and I was telling them outside, like to me the breakdown that we have in society and the family starts with us as a people. Like we don't take accountability for nothing. When we were small, everybody used to go to churches, it was mandatory, whether you want to. And in the church, Sunday school, they sing a lot of hymns. Jesus loved the little children, all the children of the world, red and yellow, black and white. They all are what? Good, and then we graduate from Sunday school and we go up into the bigger. But with religion, it always teaches us discipline. No matter what religion you have, whether Rastafarian, Christianity, Muslim, no matter what, it always teaches us about discipline. Do unto others as you have to do unto what? Okay, thou shalt not what? Yeah. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not. It's the 10 Commandments, quote unquote. We learn all these good things, and we learn all these things from what? Religion. So I think religion could be a part that can be played in my life, in everybody here life, everybody out here life, and in our children's life too. Because if we don't teach them wrong and right, and if we don't teach them about religion, religion always teaches about wrong and right, and the consequences. They can teach us, oh, if you don't become a Christian, you're going to hell. What is hell? If you do the wrong. So if we don't start teaching our children wrong from right and the repercussions of wrong and right, and even instilling religion, whatever your religion out there is, if we don't even instill a religious background in them, how do you want them to do wrong or right? Am I right? Onto something, right? We get in there, we get in there, we get in there. Alright. Do you think it's possible to actually heal from bullying? Like healing. Let's say you're a less fortunate child going to school. Your mother and father didn't have it to give you the best of shoes and clothes, and maybe you're here picky, whatever it is. But people just pick on you from kindergarten to grade 1, to grade 2, grade 3, go up, you reach high school and people just picking on you. For no reason at all. It's not your fault that your parents don't have it financially to make sure that you are well off in the latest and the best. Maybe you have to wear your big brother shoes with some hole in the sole and so. So you think it's possible to heal from those kind of traumas, and is there a lot of success stories about that? Because I know my friend at the end and say he was bullied, but how much people like him was bullied and then they just turn out how they turn out?
Okay, so I'm a clinical social worker. So I see people for different forms of trauma, people dealing with mental health issues, illnesses and stuff. So to answer your question, yes, people can heal from bullying. It's an incredibly long process sometimes. It depends on how deep that trauma is as well. But yes, the answer is yes, people can heal. People can heal from a lot of the challenges that they face in life. Yeah, I think that's it. Success stories. They are success stories. I would rather not give you one right now, but there are different forms of sort of therapy techniques, therapeutic techniques that could be used to help people who are suffering from trauma related to bullying, and that in itself is a success story.
Could I ask a personal and direct question?
I'm not sure if I should give you an answer to that. Yes? No? Maybe so?
You said that you were bullied during your schooling here.
Yeah.
Could we say that pushed you into the career that you are in now?
No. And yes. I'm not sure. The thing is, for me as a social worker, I grew up with, I was raised by a mother who was a very community-oriented poor person. She loved taking care of people, and I grew up seeing that, and that's something that compelled me to want to help people. To say whether or not me being bullied was something that pushed me into it, possibly, yes, because I saw that. I was someone who was a bystander. I was someone who witnessed some of these bullying acts, but I was also someone who tried to advocate for and intervene when I saw bullying with other people. So yes, in a way, that sort of propelled me into what I'm doing now.
Good night again. I would just like to say that I believe that you can heal from anything with the right environment, the right people behind you, support system. You can get through anything, and if you look around the world, there are many success stories, millionaires, stars, actors and stuff who said that they were bullied, and they actually use it as motivation. I'm not saying, that means we should just allow it to happen because we'll fuel motivation, but this is just to prove the point that you can heal from being bullied.
Yes, and just to add to that too, one of the main factors which helps with the healing is accountability. The person who is responsible for the bullying, they need to be held accountable for their actions. And once held accountable, the person who was bullied, not saying it's going to be easy, but it's a step in helping them heal.
So you said you talked about accountability, right? And sometimes in my work, sometimes some of my clients don't get to see the person who bullied them. And so sometimes we have to find other ways around dealing with that trauma, dealing with the issues of bullying and confronting that person, knowing that person isn't there. And so confrontation or putting accountability on that person or the person who did you wrong, that could look like probably writing a letter to that person and doing some sort of psychodrama, just putting yourself in an environment where you're seeing that person doesn't have to be there, but addressing a letter to that person or acting out what they would want to tell that person is incredibly healing in some ways. So sometimes accountability is not something that you can put on that person because that person isn't there to take accountability for their actions, but finding ways to deal with that, knowing that person isn't there, is incredibly fulfilling.
We're getting somewhere. The boat turned off. I mean, we sailing going to St. Kitts. I think the boat reached like down 4 seasons, somewhere around there. Yeah, going good. So now we're going to check our question out into the audience as well. And it has down there absorbing, and the powers of life is if you give, you have to give and get back, and so we're going to bounce a question down into the audience. How serious is bullying? Is bullying just a thing? Like, is a part of childhood? Like you grow up and somebody must interfere with you? Like, is it that just a thing? So anybody will grab the mic. Anybody. I don't know if you call upon nobody. If the voice is big enough, you could speak. Okay. Oh. Incentive. Apple cider.
As it relates to the question, is bullying a thing? It actually and in fact is. And it is very much a thing for a lot of children. I have my daughter. She has been through it like it's nobody's business. And you would look at her and think, oh, she's this happy-go-lucky child. You understand? And that she's always been that happy-go-lucky child. But it has not always been the case for her. And I can use an example. She developed a health issue when she was in grade 5. And it was a very serious health issue. one medication could help to calm that situation. Many nights I sat with her, trying to rock her as a baby, patting her back and trying to console her, just to tell her, that we're going to get through this. She missed school for like a month, and weekdays, stuff like that. And then she would go to school, and the children would just retaliate. Oh, she has a disease. And they would scorn her. And when she passes by, they would pull themselves. And then, of course, that went even further. She went someplace and somebody gave her an apple with common pins in it.
Need this?
That happened. Common pins in it. And she did not know until she was about to bite this thing and look and see that it had common pins in it. You understand? Children are sometimes wicked. And you wonder to yourself, well, what home these children come from? And she has to overcome that. Then she reaches to high school and suddenly she's in high school. And it's a whole new dynamic in the high school arena. Now it's down to, because she's coughing and then they come up with COVID. Remember COVID? COVID came along and she's still struggling with this respiratory issue, cannot get it to calm down, and she has COVID, and it goes on and on and on. And then you mentioned something earlier about looking into the background of who these children, where these children come from. And truth be told, a lot of bullies, I find, it is a generational thing where their parents were bullies. They sit and they listen to their parents bully people day after day after day. And we cannot expect these children to do any better. It is learned behavior. That's my honest feedback on it. You understand what I'm trying to say? That is learned behavior. A child does not naturally grow up and become a bully. It is things that we as parents do that impresses upon our children. And so we sit on phone. You remember when we used to grow up and your mother used to say, when she had a phone call, come out of the room. Yeah. You can't be around when mommy talking on the phone, right? Right, fine, we have that.
Because back in them days, they had moral.
Yeah, right.
Moral, so we used to call it big people business.
Big people business.
They never pull out.
Right, right. So then, what has happened now? We on the phone and we chatting WOODIS from here till next year. We can't stand me. I mean, not care what nobody say. And we're gonna chat WOODIS. And we're not telling the child to move away. If we can sit down right there, lap up every single word. What do you expect that child to do when that child goes to school? What are they going to do? Replicate the same behaviors that they see their parents do. So the buck starts with us. And we have to take accountability for our actions when it comes to our children. My children know if I'm having an adult conversation, I try to find a room. That's me. That's in our house. You understand? How many other households do that? You understand? And it also stems, the last point is, it also too stems from the top come down. Because if the fish heads stink, then there's what? That's it. We, in our society, it is a systemic thing. Because from our politicians come right down, the bullying starts right there. And that's my two cents.
I think you deserve this and more.
No question. As a parent, she would have gone through all that. I would have experienced some So you have to admonish the child, talk to the child, build his confidence. It's not easy to do it, but you have to constantly do it. Because listen, this world is a thinking world. Dirty. And a lot of it stem down from the parents. Alright? Come right down.
Okay, before we go, I would like to just say that the experts, you heard what Jennifer said, right? But the expert says that we should do this. We should be open and honest with our children, and get them to speak to you. They say some parents, when the child come home and say, "Mommy, I've been bullied," they say, "Hey, shut up. Go in your corner, go sit down. Suck it up, man. Maybe a little pump. Come, grow up, grow up." But no, you're supposed to say, "Okay, I understand," and you try to get it out of the child, and then you seek intervention. So that's the way, that's the approach. If it's a very serious thing, so if your child said someone troubled me or someone did something to me, you have to get to the bottom of the matter early.
Anybody else?
What I wanted to piggyback on what everybody was saying, and when this program talking about bullying, but bullying is straight across the board. Now, when you hear everybody saying, children, adults are bullies too. Adults are bullies. We have adults who will literally bully children, especially if they can't get through the parents. I've seen that. And we have adults who even bully each other in different environments. You're seeing that happening all the time. But sometimes I think we kind of show that harmony because we always say, a big people, and probably that's some kind of issue or anything. And we might not term it as bullying, but it is in fact bullying. Because anything that you try to implement on somebody and try to get them to do against their will, it is bullying. So I think we need to sit down here and understand it's not just children alone. We are sitting amongst, in this very room right now, and outside, of people who are actually bullying. And we shouldn't sit down here and just pretend like it's a children, it's you, it's a raw school.
So then this will ask you for opening up first because dealing with that common painting business there, we might just flip a switch. But we're going to put the head teacher.
But can I just say, that did not even happen here on the island. She traveled away with children from here and they did that to her. It was like a plan. You understand me? You think, and this is done like children who she thought were her friends. You understand? So in that, this is a waste. It's not like as a parent, I can even go to address the matter. Thankfully, where she was, the person actually had to take her under the wing so she no longer could sleep in the room with those children, but sleep in the room with them because they were the fear that they might try to do something else. Parents who like children.
But could we try this out there too? We watch our children have tablets now. That's a touchy topic here because I'm not for it, period.
Right.
But a lot of these things on the tablets, there's certain channels that you go on the channel, the YouTube channel, and all they're showing is not really stories, but pranks. And they make pranks are all kind of different things, and it sounds, it looks quote unquote funny, they laugh, everybody laugh. But sometimes these things actually play in the minds of the children, and they see it and think it's funny, and they actually want to go and do it, they will prank the teacher now. And then sometimes a simple prank will turn into something serious. Because let us say that usually the teacher don't like cats. And uncle don't like cats. And you decide that, okay, in the teacher desk, you can put a cat in there. And when the teacher howl the desk now, howl the desk, the cat jump up on top of the teacher. And the teacher scramble and run, unless they got to break a foot or hand, damage some part of her body. A simple prank that they saw on a YouTube channel, they go and act it out, and quick way now.
I want to listen
Yep.
to the question. And then bullying.
We're going to the back first, because we very much answers in the back. Yes, Mr. P.
Yes, sir. Greetings to one and one. I'm going to step outside the box a bit. And we are talking about the right and proper thing to do, when someone is being bullied. And I'm going to step back to maybe what my grandfather used to tell me. And don't come home and tell me anybody back in school, And it was...
What's the concern like that?
Thank you. I was saying that. Nice. I'm stepping outside the box a bit and going back to maybe what some of our grandparents used to tell us, the kind of advice they used to give us when it comes to bullying. Basically, don't come home and tell me anybody bang you in school, I was having bang you too. Now, we listened to John T. and he was bullied earlier in life, but has never been bullied again. What approach did he take? Anybody hit you, you hit them back. Anybody mess with you, you put them in their place. Now, it may not be the trend that we want to take today, because of course, there could be retaliations here and there. But we must also keep it in mind because it has worked, it did work, and it can work again. I just thought I'd add that to the whole mix.
That's a good one. So,
as you talked about the videos, I would like to talk about cyberbullying because that has emerged over the last few years. With the boom of the internet globalization, we know, and sometimes we actually use it as entertainment when we see people going back and forth at each other, calling each other names, dragging, they call it, what other names they have for it? And trolling on the internet, So big adults, educated adults, they go back and forth on the internet right there for everyone to see. And we see it every day. It's almost as if we become immune to it. But that in itself is a big form of bullying, and children are reading every word also. So we have to be careful the footprint we leave even on the internet.
As you mentioned cyberbullying, I wanted to mention this when Lee mentioned adults being bullied as well. This is a case I dealt with. I'm not going to call this school or the teacher's name. It's a high school here in Nevis. They had two teenagers, friends. They got into an altercation. They got physical. One of the teenagers went and told her sister, who is a teacher, and the teacher found it best to send some obscene messages to the other teenager, nasty, stinking messages. She was arrested, and she was charged, and she pleaded guilty. I said that to say, we have a piece of law here in the Federation. It's called the Electronic Crimes Act. Under that act, section 13 speaks of unlawful communication. Unlawful communication. I'm going to read it. It reads, where the person without lawful excuse or justification knowingly use a computer system to send messages, letter, or electronic communication that is A, obscene, B, constitutes a threat, or C, is menacing in character. So that because this is my phone, I cannot take it up and send them for a message, say I'm going to shoot you and your mother this and your father that. The law says it's unlawful communication and it's wrong.
I could ask a question there. I want to be devil's advocate. I see this happen a lot there. So you're trying to tell me, let me say, if I see a girl and I like to see her, and I just get your number and start messaging her and telling her I like to see her and all that kind of thing, that is unlawful what?
If it's obscene, menacing in character, if it constitutes a threat, it's unlawful communication.
Menacing in character meaning that if you say no, I tell her I want to do all kind of sexual and violent things to her. Oh, okay, just making sure we are the right path and I need to be devil's advocate.
with this situation, this teacher was supposed to be a role model. She was supposed to quell the situation. But she made it worse. She made it a teacher. Yeah, please. She made it worse. But thankfully, the law worked, and justice was solved.
One thing I want to throw in the mix here, and I want to teach, because a lot of you don't know me well. Everybody just know me as DJ WOODIS the entertainer. A lot of you don't know me DJ WOODIS the farmer. A lot of you don't know me as DJ WOODIS the assistant coach of a football team. A lot of you don't know me as DJ WOODIS. We have many hats. As the father as well of 3. All boys too. We have to all understand one thing, you know. We love our children dearly, and if we child come home and say, this child doing something, that we should go with a rage. We should always be an adult and act adult-wise and try our best. Because sometimes, like I see it happen last night, like the girlfriend was real upset. And she wanted to blow her head gasket over a situation. And I had to tell her, remember children the beat. Get 3 sides of the story plus VAT. And she said, oh yeah, I was like to take big things and just laugh after them. I said, no. Find out what happened. Go through the right channels. Go through the right procedure. Call the teacher. Have a discussion. Oh no, just going to cook and just and I say, where's that going to lead? Because simple things like these could lead to feuds, family feuds. Your family warring against my family over simple thing, 2 little kindergarten children playing and one big one another in the eye. Simple things, you know. And then you go down there and say, okay then, when you take my child in the eye, when you take back your child in the eye, and you go, plop! So 2 children got 1 eye that they play domino. And you know domino they got S blank. So you got 2 S blank children in school. And in domino they were supposed to got 1 S blank. And then the father get involved on one side. And then the other father get involved. Then the auntie. And then they just come a whole big bacchanal with 2 families warring, and they carry them from tradition to tradition over a simple thing that your child might get it worse now. But sometimes you have to understand as parents that they are what? Children. And sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes your child get the worse, and it's hard to take that your child get it worse and your child got 2 and boys got 1. But you have to understand. Take the right approach. Count to 10 as they tell us in school. Step back. Make a complaint. Because then, what happened? Your children see you going like a bully and say, yeah, okay. They're going to say, okay. But if the mother wants to, they want to too. So the cycle just keep repeating itself. Nothing to get going on. And you too. What is the school doing when it comes to teaching the whole school about indifference? Because the lady there was talking about her grandson having alopecia, and she had to sit him down and explain to him. That must have been a difficult conversation, telling a child who is 5 years old, you can't eat sweetie. You can't eat this, you can't eat that, and this and that and that and that and that, because you have to change his whole diet. And then you see all his friends them going out and eating and drinking as they like, and you know, feel like he's been put in a box because he has this specific cancer disease, has alopecia. So what is the school doing to teach? How much children do you have up here? 198? What is the school doing to teach that 198 children, one by one, that everybody is different? What is the school doing?
Yeah, well, let me speak about real bullying. bullying is a serious thing. I mean, you could lose your life in bullying somebody, right? It's just like, don't feel like because you are the bullier, you could stand still all the time. You could lose your life easily. I got a little story with a son of mine. You know, I teach the youth them the way to because I never see a father, never see a grandfather, have no godfather, God and my father. So, I got a few children. I mean, I teach them the best because I never know how a father vibes. So I try the best. I had a son in high school, Tamale. This guy bullying my son all the time. You know, and talk to the father at time. Everybody know me, Bobo. And it's like, oh, my son not trouble your son. One time I got a phone call, the same guy take a battle, fought with my son mode, lick out the front teeth, them, cheer the front teeth. You know, I called with it, I just called the dentist, went to the dentist, take the mayo teeth, and the man never come and said nothing to me. Nobody at the old parents come and apologize, nothing at all. No teachers have me in school, you know. You know, I mean, the type of person who I used to be. If I used to continue with that kind of attitude, it will cause a lot of problems. So it's like, sometimes, as Diamond said, you win some and you lose some. You understand? It's like, you just got to be careful because bullying kind of build up at home too. It's like, me show most of the mothers inside here, the father they not take care of the children because a lot of fathers don't like come up to the standard of looking after the child. And if a father in a room most of the time to teach, especially a boy child, to teach you and show the youth there what your boy behave himself, you understand? At 9, 10, 11 years old, the mother can't say nothing to the child is rude to the mother. And most of the mothers right now is like, they get a son like the son of the man, you understand? I see it happen many places and many times. And this is how I go on all the time. So the youth, they not build up anger at home and they come to school. If you as a mother at home can deal with your son, how the teachers are going to deal with your son, you understand? And this is how I go on all the time. Just the other day, a guy come in a school with a bullying and the same thing. The man ain't looking after the son. The mother ball all the time, come take care of your son and then come to, and the boy build up an anger in him. And my son mother don't build up an anger. And to the meeting I go on now, the woman so cool and smooth, you understand? Everybody just cool and the meeting was so nice. You understand? Because the woman had choice the best, but if no father there, what do you think will happen? The teacher they can't take care of the son, because the man come with that anger all the time, you understand? And the tension build up in the youth at home. Now we come to school with the tension to take it out by innocent children, and this is how I go on all the time. But as I said, bullying, you could lose your life because when you bully a child all the time, the youth take up something and look at some sort of awkwardly, you understand? And then the son gone in, the man try to defend, you understand? But he catch you somewhere, either he cripple you or he could kill you. So, ladies who ain't get a father to take care and talk to your son, I try your best because the aim is the bully is a serious thing. And let me leave it like that.
This is somebody who want to pass for him because take a real big man. You know what I mean? Because look at it from a different perspective. You hear what the man said? He done went to jail and he ain't shame about it. He could have just man for say, wow, I done went to jail already, I don't know how the ropes go. Praga that mama damage the next man's child. Understand me what he do? Learn from the experience. So we could all say he's been properly rehabilitated. Round of applause for him again. You want? Okay, good. Somebody in the back wanted to say something because I like when the audience interact too. You let the audience interact. I like that, the back and forth. Everybody give their experience. You ain't get away yet.
Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
I love the point that John T.
Yeah, Jonty.
Gave, and that spilled over into the fact that the bully, so the bully themselves need help. So we speak a lot about the person who is being bullied, but we have to realize that the bully needs a lot of help also, because that person is lashing out. As John said, the father, they probably need a father figure in their life, their home, things are going on in their life and they want some sort of attention. And so they are lashing out because of lack of something, and they too are hurting a lot. So the bullies, they are hurting and they need, they need help also. So let us forget those who are doing the bullying.
Yes, anybody else in the crowd? Like when the crowd interacting, let's not make it just, we just do it all the talking and you just...
You drink for me?
No.
I just wanted to interject here for a little bit. As we're talking about the seriousness of bullying, one thing that we can't overlook is the signs, right? Whether your child is a bully or being bullied, there are certain specific signs that you as a parent or a teacher you can look for. So I would just say, like, if your child is hesitant to go to school, that's one of the signs. Like, Mommy, I don't want to go to school today. I don't feel like going to school. You have to think, like, why? There's a reason behind it, right? And you have to look at the physical presence too. See if any cuts, bruises. Look at the shirt, see if anybody writing anything, You have to be observant. That's the main thing. As a teacher, as a parent, you have to observe. You can't just think everything is clockwork. Because a lot of times when children are being bullied, they keep it silent. They don't want to tell anyone because they're embarrassed about it. So we have to be very observant as parents and teachers.
I want to jump in.
You want to jump in here?
Yes.
Okay, jump in.
You keep overlooking me.
No, you're not keep going on. You're still at the hook.
It was something that Clark said that is really on my mind right now. He said, something about family and home. My thing is, develop a relationship with your child. Every day your child comes home, ask your child about his or her day. How did you dig it? Whether the child is the bully or the victim, just ask. And if you are around your child for all these years, you must know your child. You can know when your child is lying. Yes. Just read and learn your child. And you're going to find out a lot of things that you yourself didn't know. I know in my 14 years of being a principal, I have had so many cases. And there are some parents, like bullies coming up, or going up to Shino or whatever. Yeah. And they end up leaving, some of them crying, because what we related at home is not how we think of. Somebody says suicide, maybe, and that, yeah. So yes, because there are some children who, they're healthy, but they don't want to go to school, they're sick. Unexplainable illness, they're not sick. The mental part, things like this, they don't want to go to bullies in school. I don't want to go to school. Man, my belly hurt me, I don't want to hurt me, but don't you hurt him? Because the bully is there. And as was mentioned again, there are some parents who outwardly tell their children, anybody hit you, hit them back and hit them back harder. I don't want to label or anything, but I have a small little child in school who keeps saying, and the parents are doing it. You tell them, anybody hit you, hit them harder, hit them back harder. Do you understand?
Go on, stick up in there. Maybe the parents is trying to teach the child about self-defense too. Maybe they're doing it the wrong way.
That brings me to my point. The other point I wanted to say. A lot of victims end up being bullies themselves. Because of this self-defense. You go to the teacher. When you see what he says, it's so hard. And nobody in there who say anything. You understand? This kind of thing. and you hear what child kill themselves because they can't take it.
Peer pressure.
They everybody import to talk to. Sometimes they will call it, and I know that my council has been getting calls from high school children who pass through here. And need somebody to talk to. I don't talk to my mother. She not listening.
Maybe.
So, absentee father, the father not there in a care.
Well, being a father and being on say this and say with no water in the mouth. Dealing with females is a very, 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 very tricky thing because sometimes you as a man just want to just be cordial and deal with your child and be professional and take your child and let your child spend a weekend by you, but the female that you have a child with, oh, you're trying to spend the time with you and your woman. And all you want is to just spend a little time with your child. So, it happened, it kind of happened to me, with all the children them. Because the children mother is very emotional. So, she feels like that your new girlfriend took away something that she wants. So she starts hating, calling your woman name, and basically bullying your woman indirectly towards you. So now you as the man know what you do. We were taught not to cry as a man. Be strong as a man. Just take it and just, you know what I mean? But this happened to me, up to now. And anybody tell that, can you tell me what I want to tell now? I have a child. The child is 2 years. And would you believe, because the person I have a child with don't like the woman, that the child can come and spend time with me? And me got to deal with that, but we just deal with it and just walk out, you know what? Child gonna get big. And he gonna want no questions. But sometimes the children don't want no questions, sometimes the children just run with what they're gonna tell them, And they end up hating you as the father or the mother or whichever parent. Based on a notion that the father wants this. But how I could be worthless and every Friday I give you money? How I could be worthless when they got PTA meeting Friday and you go wait until Friday morning to tell me that you got PTA meeting. When you don't know months ahead and you're making plan to go, but you go wait and say, oh, they got PTA meeting tonight and if you want to come, you can come. So me now DJ WOODIS as the busy DJ. Don't got obligations to play say kids, play somewhere, because one of my obligations then fell into place, and today I would have been in Barbados and then tomorrow I would have been in St. Vincent, but luckily the Holy Spirit intervened. So I'm here tonight, but I'm just saying sometimes these are the things, sometimes when you see that quote unquote fathers are not around. Sometimes the father don't want to be around, Sometimes the female emotions in some of the females just come out. And because you're the man can't be nothing no more, you take it out on him, and then what happened? He just be a man, he will start not to argue back and fight back and just give she money every week and yeah. What do you think about? Those are things we go through, but what is the school doing to teach the 100 and the community that good?
One of my famous saying is how things start is the end. Somebody will take all the bullying from you. But they think about it one night and they say, you know what? I'm going to do it.
And get even.
I'm going to get even.
You sure?
And they might hit the person where they should not have hit the person. And that's how we start. It's the end. We have to be kind to everyone. We have to teach children to be kind to each other. We have to, well, in our schools, we have a guidance counselor. She gets cases.
lots of cases come to me. Cases go to the teacher. But somebody who might say, well, it can't be taking blows all the time. So we're going to say, make a complaint. Some people say, well, how much more complaint can we make? You put a strike out somewhere. But make a complaint because all things start and so they end most of the time. Make a complaint, go tell your teacher, don't be a bystander and just be there and just looking on when you could have been helping your friend or whatever. Be an upstander. Go and get somebody. You see that you can't handle the situation? Go and find an adult. So these are some of the things that we're trying to inculcate in our young men and women, because who knows, they grow up, they might want to bully their wives, they might want to bully other people, which is not good, so like the cycle goes on. So we have to try here to give them whatever help is possible for them to get. So in that area, we work.
So can I interject for a bit? I think that this is a deeply complex
Question.
issue.
Question,
Bullying.
issue, topics.
But because you're running the gamut of toxic masculinity, relational issues between father, mother, and how those issues filter down to the child, communication issues, all that stuff. But I want to bring it back to what both of you said about science, because you want to create an environment where you're create an environment where you're communicating with that child feels safe and comfortable to communicate with you. But also, if you create that environment where your child gets to know you and you get to know your child, you would also be able to see those signs. And just to piggyback off of what you said about those signs is like you would see things like social withdrawal. That child doesn't want to go to school. You'd see probably depression, anxiety, self-esteem issues, things that you said, like somatic illnesses or somatic pains or stress-induced illnesses or pains, because they're so fearful of going to school that they develop these stress-induced pains, right? Aggression, like bouts of aggression, they're easily irritated, but also what you said just now about, well, first, suicidal ideation, thoughts and ideations, and things related to self-harm, to self-soothe, but also homicidal ideations, thoughts and ideations, or actions. I know that a lot of you have seen things in the news in the US, most recently in European countries where students are going into schools, people are going into banks, former workplaces, and shooting up, killing their former co-workers, killing former classmates, killing classmates. Some of these people are individuals who've been bullied. And I think we, as I guess parents, as counselors, as people within the community who are interacting with these children, we need to create spaces where we're having these conversations with children. They're seeing the effects of what bullying can do to people, and we have to create some sort of mechanism to address those issues. And I have to commend Ms. Richardson and her staff here at the school for creating that environment and trying to instill those principles within children here. Yeah.
And one of the main things we should walk away with, and I just hear it a lot, is that stop trying to be your child's best friend. It sounds good, eh? But we have to be our child's best friend, but we got to know when to be their best friend. Because you could be your child's best friend, and they tell you what they're doing all the bad, and you just correcting them, say, yeah, go ahead. Because it's very hard to tell your best friend, no? And sometimes we as big people, sometimes you and a friend fall out because you explain to them you're wrong. And because they're emotionally caught up in the situation, they vex with you because you tell them they're wrong. So, we being our children's best friend, it should be like a pipe. We should know when to turn it on and be their best friend, and turn it off and be their parent. And just like what they said, there's a thin line between love and hate. It is a very, 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 very tricky thing to turn off that pipe and be their best friend, and turn it on when and where and how. Yes.
Can I say, piggybacking on what the principal, on what you asked, your question was, what is the school, your question was, what is the school doing to reach 198 children, right? Realistically, reaching 198 children on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, even in a year, even in that child's lifetime, is absolutely almost impossible. You have 6th grades and kindergarten, right? Let's on average, each class carries 2 children. How much is that, people? Can we max them really poor? So let me go. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, what?
A lot.
About 14, 16, somewhere up there, teachers plus the principal and the guidance. So let me say we have 20 teachers on the compound. That's 20 adults up against 198 children. Impressing upon 198 children about the importance of not bullying is literally, that in and of itself is a challenge for a school, a principal, or for a teacher to do. I think in an environment like this, or in any school environment for that matter, I think what needs to happen is, I don't know if you all remember when the days when they did things like prefects. Anybody grew up with that system of prefects and so on and so forth, right? I grew up with that sort of system. And it was not just the responsibility of the teachers and the principal to help keep in line, but you found a child who showed or displayed a particular leadership skills. You understand? And you, through that child, sort of made that child or those children sort of role models in sort of a way. You understand? So there, as a child, children see another child displaying certain, behaviors and stuff like that. And so, in a way, they had something to look up, somebody to look up to, or a person to aspire to be like. And I think perhaps that is something that, if it is brought back, I think it would help in the fight or in the effort to help to, eradicate a lot of these issues, because the help is definitely needed in reaching every single child. And I think activities like frequent, when I say frequent, at least a weekly activity that helps, or things like posters, I'm sure the classrooms have it, things that children, you point it out to them, remember what we say, be kind to each other, what is our mantra, you understand? Things like that where you reaffirm or do affirmations. Those are things I think that can help. I don't know what you parents do in a morning, but this is something that I do. And maybe it can be something that you as parents can adopt. It doesn't have to be what I say, but you can make up your own. Every single day that God sends, once my children go through the door, when I drop them off at school, my words are, I love you, be good, make good choices, have fun today. If you can't, these are every single day. It's like a song that my children like, yes, we know, make good choices. Parents, these things help to shape your children's minds on a daily basis and helps to make them better individuals. It takes work, but we can do it. And that's what I gotta say.
Okay, the lady, well, we have a gentleman who wants to say something, so we're gonna go with the lady in the long sleeve white shirt and then with the gentleman after.
Yes, well, to help with that question, I must commend the IWPS Primary School for this initiative and also the Guidance Counseling Department, Mrs. Lowe. So that is one way which they, IWPS Primary School, that's one way in which they will be trying to reach the 190-something students. And so parents who are here, we should have been more, but it begins from at home. Parents, so bring the parents out tonight. This is a way of reaching the parents because the children come from you, come from home from you. So we have to begin from home. And so having this forum here this evening, I must commend IWPS for doing that. And yes, so that's one way we're doing it. So parents, let us do what we can do with our children so that when we send them here, we are sending out a good batch of children from your home.
The gentleman here. Then if you find somebody in the back, I'll be nobody in the back and that side.
For me personally, to your point, you need to do 198 students. It's not that difficult in my opinion. Reason being, the fact that we're here sitting and talking about it means it's important, just as important as education. So my thing is implement it in the school system. Yeah? On top of that, abuse, we're talking about bullying. Bullying is not just physical, it's also verbal. I mean, you go hit a man a box, you throw him down, you go see it, you go see it. You beat up you on the ball, you come back to man. The problem you're going to have after that, when you start verbally abusing somebody, nobody can see the hurt, you know. You can't see that they inside a hide. And if you keep on pelting, that's psychological warfare. So you're killing somebody slowly from inside out, but nobody can see it. And that is one of the biggest issues that we're facing. However, on another note, many times you have children in the school system and your children come home, this person doing this person doing that. Was the teacher around? No. We need to do something about it. I don't know what can be done. So, really and truly,
not defending the teachers, but
no, get me wrong. I'm just saying something needs to be done. What I don't know.
Well, not defending the teachers, but we have to all understand too as well that the children are gonna have something called playtime.
Yes.
Like break,
okay,
lunchtime, and so that's when they're gonna be in their own space.
Right. We used to have our own space.
I think it's changed, you know.
We never used to have our own space. You couldn't do nothing in school and nobody see you back in my day. So
you're trying to say maybe the layout of the school is wrong?
Like I said, don't ask me what can be done. I just know that something needs to be done. Maybe we could brainstorm and come with ideas.
So you're saying that if something was wrong with the child, you asked the child if a teacher was there and they said no. Are you trying to say that teacher should have been there? Because that could have happened on the playground and that child hadn't gotten.
We are aware of all of that.
Yeah.
We are aware of all of that. But I'm saying, the children are in school.
Yes.
So, the school is responsible. So, one way or the other, is either we need to have people overlooking the playgrounds, or something of this that. Something needs to be done.
Okay, so I hear you, but I think what you need to do as parents as well is to empower your child to, when they see something, they need to say it. If something is happening on the playground where a teacher is not there to observe them, then they should know that, hey, this is wrong. I should either tell the person who's doing it that it's wrong, and then go to the teacher or directly to the teacher and tell the teacher.
That is a true fact, and that is the start of verbal abuse right there.
Yes, I like that everybody's speaking. Somebody in the back has up their hand now. Somebody in the back. Don't be afraid to put up your hand and talk, you know, because you know when you go to walk and they got a meeting, we don't want the meeting after the meeting, eh? Lady in the back, in the back, oh, you want to speak? Go ahead. I'm sorry, bye bye.
I wasn't saying anything, my little niece was just saying, you don't say anything, but I think I have a point. Teachers teacher always put him at the back of the class. Or they had this low school, they would call it Donkey City. So then she would tell this child, you are coming out to be nothing good. You're going to Donkey City. And every term this guy would come, bringing last in the class. I said, you're going to Donkey City. And I started to work with my son and I worked with him, but psychologically it was telling on him. And every year this child would bring last in the class. And I would say, boy, me no dance, your father no dance. How you coming last? And he's sitting at the back of the class, she put him into the back of the class. And then when they had this thing, you call it, we call it common entrance. Right, I think you do it here. And when it came, he did the test of standard. The ones who she said would have gone higher than him, end up going to the Donkey City. And my son ended up going to high school, the second highest school in the region. And today my son is at university doing mechanical engineering.
Success story.
That's a success story. And when that happened, the children were targeting him. And I used to carry him to school every day. And every day I go to school, I pray with my son in the car. I don't leave, and when we go to write the exam, I take the pencil, I take the eraser, I take everything and I put it on the bed and I say, Lord, my son is going Donkey City.
What you say there? Donkey City? Start to laugh, eh?
So I had to carry the burden of father and mother. So in the night, I take the foot and I take the hand and I pray.
Spirituality.
I touch his head and I pray. I touch his eye and I pray. And I say, you're going no Donkey City.
Spirituality.
So
and it came out well. And today I'm a proud mother of my son.
Spirituality. Remember talk about spirituality in the beginning?
So I have to applaud you for that, for creating that foundation for your son. But the reality is that a lot of children don't get that at home. And so you said something here about the teacher telling him that he's going to go to Donkey City. The reason why I say that some children don't get that at home, that support, that foundation at home, is because that in itself would be a self-fulfilling prophecy, where the messages that child is getting is being played in the head constantly, and that in itself is acting as a hindrance to him receiving the things that he needs to progress and to succeed. And so,
what I like with him, he always said, Mommy, I am going to do this for you. And I put it in him and I said, yes, do it for Mommy. I walk him down the road and talk with him. And he would say, yes, Mommy, I want to do it, I want to do it. And that was how it came out, And look at the ones who they had in front of him and who was getting all the best grades. They didn't make it to the school that they expected them to go. So I was wondering, during the time of her marking the child paper, I always giving him last.
Donkey City.
What is I leaving that with you,
Anyway, anybody else? Anybody else? Okay, cool. We're gonna come to the education officer. Let's see from the. Okay, somebody in the back want to say something? Cool.
Yes.
We're wrapping up, we're getting a good session.
The lady refers to the school as Donkey City. How the children in that school supposed to feel when the society calls the school Donkey City? The children are degraded and feel terrible. Yeah, but you don't call the school Donkey City. That is how the society. That is a form of bullying when you discriminate against those children that are going to that school and label it as Donkey City. So the children that are going there are children
I mean, Donkey City?
Yeah, they call this one Donkey City.
Well, where I'm from, they used to call it Shanty Town.
Yeah, I mean parents, that's the actual name, but parents label it as Donkey City. So that is a form of bullying. Yeah.
Yeah, anybody,
So
somebody else have their hand.
bullies as well.
Back to the gentleman, and then we'll come to the education officer.
Yes, I was just saying I would like to take the opportunity to recognize the officer. You know, I'm happy to see the officer on the front line. Just as a suggestion for the problematic schools, we could have 2 officers based in some of these schools to help mitigate some of the issues before they happen.
So we used to have a DEAR program in school. I remember a DEAR program. Do we still have that? No.
I remember the DEAR program. But as you touch on the DEAR program, like when I was going to school many months ago, there was DEAR program, there was Boys Brigade, there was Girls Brigade. They're still there? Pathfinders and these kind of things. With these programs, right, what I used to realize is that, let's say we have the DEAR program in this school, they will actually link up with the school in Gingerland, and the schools then come together and they have a little camaraderie, and so sometimes these bullying things actually start from, you're from a country and they're from a town. And like, I mean, sometimes a man see a man just automatically just hating for no reason because from a specific location geographically. So these programs used to actually bring a lot of different people from different places, different homes, and they just sit down together and actually share and be taught a lot of different things. But anyway, that's just me. Yes, darling, you want to say anything?
I was saying in reference to what he said about police being in school, I know at CSS, a police was placed at the school and it was a big issue. There was fight down with what the police was doing from education, from parents, etc. So the police ran back to the station.
Hold on, stop. The Charleston police station see fit to take up a police that our taxpayers' money is paying. Place him in the school. And then the school had a problem with that, yourself? And then the parents had a problem with that? Okay. Just making sure I hear what I hear, you know. But sometimes we all hear, I mean, if I all hear this, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Being a leader in any establishment, you have to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to take criticism. And you have to be able to take criticism. Sometimes you have to make some firm choices. Even as parents, our leaders, whatever it is, you have to make firm decisions and choices that people are going to lash out on you, but they don't see the long run. Because they will say, God forbid, and they want to, old people say it. Let's say somebody go up to the school now and somebody get a knife and just start to just stab up people up there. The police could have been up there to deal with the situation because a teacher is not trained to deal with combat warfare. You know what I mean? And because the police is there, if let's say 2 people are going to fight, they're going to say, police there now. So they're going, even if the fight going to happen, it's going to happen, you know, but you would have maybe down the road, but at the school compound where other people get injured and so. So maybe that's something with the education department and the school need to sit down and work out logistically. I mean something.
This is my final thing. I think it was Delvon mentioned about cyberbullying, and I really want to touch on that, right? I have a teenager, and the reason why I'm touching on it, I not only have a teenager, I have a primary schooler. And parents, we are giving our children tablets and cell phones, right? We're doing that. And a lot of times as busy parents, we're giving our children these cell phones
to keep them distracted, correct? Because we got enough going on and we want to get our tasks done, correct? As a parent who is overly, I think it's in my brain, I am overly conscious about what is trafficking through the phones. I just want to encourage us to take away your child phone and look in there. Stop this password block on y'all children phone. Y'all need to find out what that password is. Check it week by week, because they might change it and tell you that it was mommy this week, and next week the password is John Crow, and the next week the password is 10 by 10. Parents, check your phones, and there's a reason why I'm sharing this, eh? Remember I tell y'all I have a teenager and a primary schooler. I had the misfortune, I think it was, to see some of the content that was channeled through my teen's phone. This is from years before, you understand me? And it is shocking and frightening what is happening. There is something called chat groups. Now there's a reason why I brought it up. It actually came up on the news this week on Van Radio. It was mentioned about, now they're actually putting into law, not here in the Federation, but on the international scene, where you have to check children's phone. Pornography. And these chat groups are channeling a lot of pedophiles. Okay? So I had one of the situations where I took her phone. She kept telling me people are calling her at night. You understand? How does that work? Herself, she have WhatsApp, and let's say you're my friend, Shia is my friend, and Shia add me to a chat group. The chat group don't have no name. You know, sometimes you have a chat group, or the chat group might name Jamaican Friends, and you're gone in there. In that chat group has nearly 200 people in there. You start having a conversation in that chat group. Based on what you say or how you respond to the conversation in the chat group, somebody in there targets you. And they start to call you privately. Hi, what's up? My name is Josh, or my name is Melanie. And the conversation starts. And they say things like, when you start asking how old am I, they'll say that I'm 14 or I'm 15 or I'm going to this high school. These chat groups, parents, are begging them. Check your children's WhatsApp groups. There are big people in these chat groups from Europe, Jamaica, Barbados, Switzerland, anywhere, Guyana. These people are in your children's phone and they are not high school children. Check your children's phones, because as Delphon mentioned about the bullying, it is happening through that medium. And I watched my child change. I'm glad I got it early. She started to become withdrawn and depressed. And it's the content that was being channeled through these WhatsApp groups that was causing it. And so as a parent who is constantly in our picnic them life in terms of their social media, I am encouraging you all, even your primary school children, those YouTube videos that Woodis mentioned about the pranking, there's something called stories. They're educating your children on how to throw away children, how to get pregnant and have babies, how to raise your child with a man, how your boyfriend did this, how to deal with your parents. I am begging you, stop taking this cell phone thing for granted. Amen. Good night. Thank you.
This is just me, eh?
And the video games, the Discord chat where they're having sex with one another in virtual world.
This is just me, eh? And me trying to impart not upon nobody and how they should deal with their child. This is just DJ WOODIS. Right? I don't feel like not child. She got no phone. Now 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, when you want a phone, you start to work, you buy your own phone. That is just me. I think our children should have one thing, a watch. So you should know the time. And when I say just a watch, just to know the time. When we were going to school, we had anything called cell phone? 5 o'clock by main home. Late. 3 o'clock, school done. 8:15, I'm walking, school soon start. Tell me, it's for everybody. Tell me one good reason. This child talk about 5 people, and 5 people go in the upper side. 5, that's in that. 5 fresh people. Why should a child have a cell phone? And give me one good answer. Emergent what? When you don't go to school, you have an emergency? 5 people. They're in the back, in the floor thing. That's one easy. Okay, wait a second. You in the front. Let me hear you.
When I'm at work, where she at home because no one is at home.
Okay, cool.
Isn't it fair enough? How would I know when she's home? How would I know the bus stop on home? How would I know when she's at dance class?
Okay, good. Good. You see? So good. So based on what you said, that means you're a single parent, the father's not around.
No.
You don't have any family members to hold on, not you. Talking to her. Hold on, we're not gonna problem with walking, you know. Hold on, stop. Talking to her. So you kind of get a pass, but at the end of the day, right?
But as I said, that's the only reason she have a phone, and that's the only time she uses her phone. When I get home, the phone is up.
So.
Yes.
So you got rules and regulations how to use the phone.
Yes.
Okay. Believe in what? Technical? The reason I said no children are supposed to have a phone. This age here, I got a friend who has a phone and he's in a committed relationship with a female. But in that phone, he has a special section where he punch an app and punch a code tuk, 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 and conversations pop up at me. I'm just saying. So even though you give your child a phone and understand that you could say, I want the password and you get into the phone, you might get a back door. Hear what I'm simply saying, the password on the phone. But remember I tell you, I got a friend who got an app. Understand me? And he was going the app and asked him, you can use the app like normal, but you got a special section, you punch in a code, blah, 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 blah. And a whole other world unlock. Not me, eh? A nice guy. So we get 1, 2, 3 reasons why a child should have a cell phone. Listening attentively.
Back in the day, we had extended families.
We had extended families. So we don't have extended families now. So whereby the mother goes to work in the night. Okay, cool. Sounds like a plan. Another reason, next person, anybody else? Huh? At a certain age.
Keep track of them and check up on them when they are not at home.
At a certain age, to keep track of them, to check up on them, to make sure when they're not at home. And the best questions and the best answers are fine, I realize. The man, give the best answers are fine. Emergency, but a phone is a good thing, but to me it do more bad than the good it do. Emergency call, you know?
Like usual, we always abuse everything.
Yeah. Because like sometimes the girlfriend will say, oh, no money for my phone. I said, no, what you had? 911 is a free call. And then the credit to that. Let me see though, where we are we now. Could we, the education officer guy? You going along? You ready? They come. Good. So the education officer for the school is here, and she got some long. I know she first name, but she got about 6 other names behind that. So, what is the education department doing on their behalf? You as an officer of the education department, understand me? About bullying, 1, 2, and about teaching equality in the schools. Because it's very tough for the school with their heavy-based curriculum now about teaching full education and getting all A's, because I'm teacher and next thing about me. I'm an extension officer at agriculture department, and I was attached to this school for the agricultural program that they have in the growing competition. So when I came here, there was runway. So I think back in my head and say, when we used to go to school, every class had a bed and we had to go there. Go up the bed. So that had kick in, so I tell the head teacher about we are going to implement that, we clean up the whole thing, and I said, head teacher, we are going to get every year, how we going to get that work? I said, well, you're going to make it mandatory. So moving forward, and I trained them, tell all that they went in the garden, DJ WOODIS, and they plugged it for me. But anyway, back to you now. Yes. I think you get going on. So what is the education department doing?
Alright, good night everybody. I had a point about 2 hours ago. And before I answer Woodis' lawyer question, I wanted to make my point. We would have talked about encouraging our children to stand up for things that they see. Like when they see something wrong, to stand up against it, to say something, and those types of things. That's good. We would have talked about teachers supervising more. That's also good. But because this is parents' night, I really wanted to say something directly to the parents. Sometimes we are too aggressive with our children, and because our children cannot hit us when they come to school, they take that aggression out on others. You swallow what I'm saying? When something happens to our children and we say, you should have bust your head, I'm going to rock your hand if you do X, Y, we say those things all the time. We tell them not to do something and oh yes, they go and do it, and we kind of want them to learn a lesson, yes, but sometimes the way we come at them, it is so aggressive. They have no choice but to channel that aggression out on persons who are within their age range. They can't hit you, so they come to school with it, especially if your child is leaving your home at mornings and they're leaving on a note that you just give it to them. You just cuss them out, you just beat them, and so they leave you coming into this space with all of that pent up. You really think when they get here, they're gonna just want to play nice with everybody? That's not gonna happen. So let us be mindful of how aggressive we are with our own children and what we do with them, especially on the mornings that they leave our homes to come to school. Now, as an education department, we encourage programs like these, yes, and we show up to support programs like these, and we encourage you also that if there is a situation, there are channels to take. You talk to the teacher, you talk to the principal, and if it's bigger than that, then it gets to the education department. We promise to hear you out, but if you come with a mindset that they are wrong and I am right, we're starting off on a foot that's going to cause some problems. And there are what their child would have said. And sometimes we leave feeling dissatisfied because we didn't agree with you. But we have to practice fairness. So, yes,
You realize what she said? We encourage and we encourage and we encourage and we encourage. Courage was a cowardly dog, you know. I want to hear from the education department. We are pumping some money into the school for this and for that. Not just encourage and encourage and encourage and encourage and encourage. I just start off with encourage these kind of things.
Tomorrow is going to be our motorcade and rally for the first time. And the parents is not well. I don't want us to be going to all these schools and talking about bullying. And then we have the same bullying thing here. We have to practice what we preach. And so we are going to need your help. We're going to need your help. The school has been doing, education has been doing, and I know that you have been doing your part. But if each one of you reach one, you know, people used to call them, don't relate to them, but they call it auntie and uncle and son because they are interested in them and they want to see them have good values and so on. We need to get back to those auntie and son where people are really looking out. And I want you parents, build your child's self-esteem. So when they say your child is picky, you know, that no father or whatever, they'll be able to say, you know, at least this, not in a manner that will trigger off any anger, but the way sometimes you speak to, you have to tell them, you know, what's the tone. So encourage them. Do not give them all of these negative words. Because as the education officer says, when they come to school, they channel that anger towards somebody. So tell them you love them. I know black people, a lot of black people don't like to tell their children that they love them. Tell them so every day. Empower them. When you go to school, make sure that you pay attention, you behave yourself, you do what you're supposed to do. Anybody interferes with you, make a complaint. I'm going to be saying, make a complaint all the time until you're fed up of hearing. Make a complaint, and I'm going to end with my phrase, how things start, and so they go in. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Richards, for those warm words of commendation. I'm indeed humbled and honored to serve the IWPS Primary School and the community at large in this capacity. Thank you. And before I move to the vote of thanks, I would like to give our esteemed panelists a chance to give us their closing sentiments on this issue or whatever way you want to express yourselves. So I give you the opportunity to close off before we move to the thank yous.
You know, I have something to ask Diamond. Diamond, let me ask you a question in front of the parents. The bullying is a crime?
Bullying in itself is not a crime, but there are some aspects to it. Indecent language is an offense. Offensive language is an offense. Beating someone is an offense. Slap, backs, kick, stomp, whatever the case is, that is an offense. I mentioned the cybercrime, the sending of threatening messages and obscene language. So there are some aspects, some criminal aspects to it. So if any of these aspects, anybody do anything to you, offend me in any way, please report it so I can deal with it.
Yes, sir. What I was saying, right, I mean, if all of these things is a crime, I coming up doing all these things that Diamond's thinking about, and my name staying in the station, you know, and for my name staying in the station, let me get a little bit of the story before I close that. You know, anything happen in Nevis is bubbles, right? Let me get a story. One time in Hanley, I live in Kattengong. Hanley's Road, far away from Kattengong. A robbery take place in Hanley's Road. Before Diamond and Mr. Brandy them go handle his gun, they come straight to me. You know, I spent time in prison. I spent time in prison. And 2002, I make up my mind that I will never go back to prison. From 2002 until now, I never enter back in no prison, right? And one time, my son was graduating St. Thomas' school, Kwanje, from prep school. And God is love. God is love. And it's like, mother called me and tell me, Janty, the graduation will start like 10:30, 10:30 or 11 o'clock in the morning. No, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I think. So I called, but she called me back and tell me the graduation was going to start 10:30, so I got to rush to the barber shop, come looking fresh. You know, why is it in the church? A lady getting robbed. In the church? No, why is it in the church? A lady in Jessup getting robbed. All of she jewelry them get robbed, and my name called. It's Janty. Yeah, so police come straight to me. But after I left from the church, I went home and Diamond they come block off my door, they take off my door. You know, and it's like, Mr. Yeah, you're in there. In Banster, you know that. And Mr. Keynes is the one who said, Bobo, police believe is you. But I was in the church. And then, you know, it's true, people who see me in the church, they have to come to the police station and tell them, Lord, man, the man was in the church being work by me. And you know, police supposed to hold you for 72 hours under suspicion. But they hold me for 79. You understand? And Mr. Keynes tell me, after 79 hours, Mr. Keynes tell me, Bobo, we believe in you. So, I'm just saying this, like, if bullying is a crime, and then you get yourself in problems, that's bullying. I think so. So, what I'm saying, if bullying is a crime, and all these things happen, your child bullying somebody, get locked up, his name read in the police station book, anything will happen to him. After you have a record, police ain't want to know if he's fighting, if he's raping or robbing, from your name reach inside there. That's he is a target for the police. And praise God, until 2002, until now, I never entered a prison again. We had like in St. Nevis, we had a craft competition, and St. Thomas' School come second.
Okay, and I must add that he's an excellent parent. I like all this purpose. Thank you very much.
Well, before I give my closing remarks, which will be very short, I just wanted to reiterate what you said, empowering our children to be able to communicate with us, speak out, but also we have to give them the reassurance that them being victims of bullying, it's not their fault. We have to help them build some resilience, self-esteem, confidence, use assertive languages, but one other important thing is teaching them about friendship. letting them know or educating them on what friendship is, what it looks like, and what friends should do in situations where a friend is being bullied. Earlier I said, I spoke about being a bystander. A friend should never be a bystander. And we have to teach our children that being a bystander isn't the best thing. It doesn't resolve an issue, and it doesn't help that friend. It just creates an environment where that child can't thrive. And so that's just all I really wanted to share about things that we could do as parents, just instilling these things within our children, educating them about these issues and how to deal with them. But now for my closing, it was a pleasure being here. I learned a lot. I hope that you learned a lot as well, and that tonight was a catalyst for change within our children, within our schools, and within our community. So thanks for having me.
Okay. I know the topic tonight is bullying, but I want to say to parents, check your children back as well, please.
Yeah.
We have children going to school with edibles and ending up in the hospital. Hearing news. You may see a child come home with a funny looking cookie or a chocolate. I can't tell the difference between them, so I don't expect parents to tell the difference. But please check your children's bags. You see any strange looking cookie or chocolate we never seen before, dispose of it. It's very dangerous. I don't know where they're getting them from, but they are in their position, they are going to school with them, and you're sharing them among kids in school, and ending up in the hospital. Okay, that's just my word of advice to parents, okay? Let's see, colleagues here will close on the bullying.
I'll be brief. I'd just like to commend the principal and education department and IWPS Primary School for taking this initiative. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for bringing us together. First time we've ever been together, but I think you got a good panel of people. Especially real life situations, you can see. So I'm just delighted to be here, and I just want to say one last thing. Let us be doers and not hearers.
Thank you very much, panelists, and without much further ado, I will call our education officer to present our panelists and our moderator, who did an awesome job with a token of appreciation. So, Mr. Alden Claxton. Primary School, to the following key supporters of our initiative. Our sponsors, Premier Honorable Mark Brantley, who is the premier sponsor for the IWPS Primary anti-bullying campaign for the past 6 years. Mr. Donald Hendrickson of Island Moldings, Mr. Carl Liebert of Sea-Equipped, Mr. Tito Chapman of SKN Pulse, Mr. Curtis Martin, who has been here with us from the day one, Mr. Patrick Howell and his communication team, Bond Radio, Meetings Dynamics for all these wonderful chairs and the lovely cocktail tables, free of charge, Bowles Gym, Dr. Patricia Bartlett, the Department of Education, the kitchen staff of the IWPS Primary School, always save the day, Mr. Delroy Ross Iroy Kinney, the principal and staff of CBIS, our partners in this venture. A special thanks to the IWPS Bullying Awareness Committee for assiduously working hard to make tonight's event, as well as all the events leading up, for our anti-bullying week of activities, a success. If by any chance I miss anyone, please, it is by no means intentional. We appreciate you and all that you do. Thank you for your continued support to this worthy cause. Thank you. And not forgetting to mention Delpesh Designs. They have been doing an outstanding job. Round of applause. Thank you.
And before you all leave, I guess the lady want a picture with all of us, but there's 2, 4, 6, 8, one more there to give away this year. So I feel a little givish. So the person who came in first, understand me? Cindy Davis, you're going to get something for being here first. She's going to get this. I guess you might go down there, because these giveaways for the crowds. So you might go down. So Cindy Davis, come. The person who took the mic first, that was you? You don't get one already? Okay, good. Everybody who stand up and speak tonight will get an apple cider if you got enough there. I don't know. So we want to give Miss Cindy Davis, come. You're gonna, oh, people shy. Okay, cool. So, education officer, I will task you with the task of giving out these apple cider champagne to the persons who stand up and speak tonight, because usually we don't get people speaking in these forums. They just sit down and just observe everything, and then they got a meeting after the meeting. You know about that? Yeah. So don't forget, don't leave. There's some snacks, and we're going to be having the ambassadors of the school do a little dance for you as well too. So the school has some anti-bullying ambassadors. Yeah. They got more. Smile on my bobo. Everybody got a shot? One more. Come on, say you want to smile.
activity, the panel discussion. However, we have a little surprise for you. We have DJ Smudge in the house joining DJ WOODIS. And it's now time for our little mix and mingle as you refresh yourself with some refreshments at the back. And just enjoy each other's company. We are cozy